If you have kids or you're planning to have kids, there are now 2 state-run college savings plans to choose from because of a new state law. For those already invested in the state's G.E.T program, you have a big decision to make and the clock is already ticking. Here's a breakdown of some of the basics. The Guaranteed Education Program allows you to buy units at current tuition rates that your child can use to pay for college later, no matter how much tuition goes up or down. 100 units are guaranteed to be worth 1 year's tuition at the state's highest priced institution, which is now UW-Tacoma. That means 1 unit is currently worth about $106. This year, the state's G.E.T program was facing a surplus of nearly $600 million, and lawmakers passed a new law to redistribute the money. The state is offering G.E.T investors who purchased units before July 2015 a chance to roll over their units into a new 529 plan called Dream Ahead. If they do so, each unit now worth $106 rises in value to $143, an increase of about 38%. But since Dream Ahead is subject to the market, investors assume the risk and need to make that decision by September 12th.
For some people, it makes most sense to roll.
Today in a webinar, the G.E.T panel warned parents to read up before switching over to Dream Ahead.
The customer has to do their own research to determine if that's the right fit for them, because they have different fees that they charge for doing, for having an account at Dream Ahead. Their distribution process is very different than ours.
Families who decide to stay in G.E.T could receive additional units. After September 12th, if you paid more than $117 per unit, the state will add units to those qualified accounts. If surplus funds are left over after that, the state will redistribute more units to all remaining G.E.T accounts. And are you ready for this? Investors also have a third choice: cash out your G.E.T account or roll it over to an out-of-state 529 plan with no penalties. Again, the deadline to make this decision is September 12th. Some parents have complained about calling into G.E.T to ask questions and waiting on hold for more than an hour. You can also email your questions in as well. We'll have some helpful links on our website. In the newsroom, Elisa Hahn, King 5 News.